Hello, everyone. So we're reading this book named Frindle, and it was written by Andrew Clements. So just as a review of what we've read up to this point, we see that there's a boy named Nick, right? And he got this idea of creating a new word, right? And what's the new word? Frindle, right? The new word is Frindle, and it is meant to describe a pen, right? It's another word for the word pen, and he's been creating like this movement in his school, right? This new trend where everybody else is saying Frindle. Kids are saying after school, because they're saying that word Frindle because they're using it nonstop. And while they're in detention, they have to stay with Mrs. Granger, right? Because Mrs. Granger is opposed to it. At least that's what it makes it seem that she gets upset, right? Because she's like, why are we going to create a new word if the word pen already exists? So a lot of students are staying after school. Their parents are getting upset because there's so many kids staying after school. And so they're asking for help from principals, from different directors, right? And they even have went to go talk to Nick's parents already. And Nick's mom was a little upset. She's like, it's nothing that big. Like, why are we making such a big deal out of it? And as long as you're not being disrespectful to the teachers, and that's what he's saying, that he doesn't believe that he's being disrespectful to the teachers. It's just using that word instead. And because it's getting such a high popularity that now even other people are finding out, right? So that is why Mrs. Judy Morgan from the news reporting places called the Gazette, she actually went, right? She went to the school and tried finding out more about the story. So that's where we're at right now. Let's see what keeps happening. So this chapter is chapter 11. And this chapter is called Extra, Extra, Read All About It. On Thursday morning, the Westfield Gazette was delivered to all 12,297 homes and the post offices in Westfield. The story was about Lincoln Elementary School, was the first item on the front page, and the headline, Local 5th Grader Says Move Over Mr. Webster. It was quite an article. Not that Judy Morgan didn't tell the truth. Every statement in the article was completely true. It was a particular way that she told the truth that got things hopping around. For example, take the sentence about Mrs. Granger. Mrs. Granger, champion of the forces of order and authority, is battling hundreds of young Frindle fighters. Neither side is giving in. Or this bit about Nick. Everyone agrees that Nick Allen masterminded this plot that cleverly raises issues about free speech and academic rules. He is the boy who invented the new word. Or this last sentence in the article. One thing is for sure. The kids at Lincoln Elementary School love their Frindles, and no one seems to be backing off in this war of words. And of course, the Westfield Gazette published the class picture too, and Mrs. Granger and Nick were identified for all the world to see. What's the meaning of this? It says that's what Nick's mother said, putting the article in front of Nick's nose when he got home from school. Did you talk to this reporter? She seems to know an awful lot about you and your new word, young man. What's the meaning of this? That's what the school superintendent said to Mrs. Chatham, slapping a copy of the article onto her desk. Why did you have to talk to that reporter? Don't we have enough trouble getting the taxpayers to pay for the schools without articles like this banging around town? What is the meaning of this? That's what Mrs. Chatham said to Mrs. Granger, shaking the newspaper in front of her face. I know you had to talk to the woman, but did you have to say all of these things? It'll be a wonder if we don't get all fired. It was quite a Thursday for everyone, and no one could figure out how Judy Morgan had gotten that 5th grade class picture. So I'm going to, if you guys see, so first, I know it sounded kind of confusing at the end. So first, when the article goes out, first it's Nick's mom is telling Nick. So she's like, what is the meaning of this? Why did you do this? So that's Nick's mom to Nick. Then the school superintendent says to Mrs. Chatham, right? The principal. What's the meaning of this? So the superintendent, so the boss of the principal, right? She's like, what's the meaning of this? And then the principal goes to the teacher, Mrs. Granger, and she says, what's the meaning of this? So if you see, everybody's like trying to figure out, how did they get this much information? Who is this? Who are these people? Why are they doing this? And how do they know so much? And how did they get the picture? right? But we know it was all because of Mr. Nicholas here, right? He's the one that sent over the picture. He's the one that that introduced himself and said a lot more, right? So we'll see what keeps happening.